What's the most morally questionable thing you've ever done but would never admit to in real life? You/Charlie 4774 responded. Was working in a warehouse as an order filler. Was all the way in the back of a freezer when I suddenly became very sick to my stomach. I raced as fast as I could to the nearest bathroom, but before I could get all my layers of clothing off it was too late. I was a mess. I went to my supervisor and tried to gently convey what was going on. His words were just clean up and get back to work. He said this multiple times as I tried to explain why that wasn't an option. Was told I would receive points for leaving. I got so pissed off at the situation that I took all my soiled clothing, locked it in my locker with a personal lock and never went back. To whoever had to clean that mess, I'm sorry. You didn't deserve that. And to my old supervisor, you suck. You/sarcastic_backpack responded. In my early 20s, our apartment got burglarized. Most of what they took wasn't very valuable, but I had 2 silver pocket watches I inherited from my grandpa that probably would have fetched $3,000 combined. The problem was that my renter's insurance policy limited jewelry losses to $1,000. Conveniently, my roommate had lost a really expensive 35mm camera and his insurance policy only covered $1,000 for it. He also worked at a computer store. So Elle gave him documentation on one of the pocket watches, and he gave me a backdated fake receipt for a computer. We were both able to adjust our claims and get extra money out of our insurance companies to help with our losses. Thank God we used different insurance companies at the time. You/Shoz_error responded. Wiped the hard drive on the work desktop. Every tool, spreadsheet, database, and how-to guide required to do the job just gone in a blink. Literally wrote the book on how to do that job and how the training is delivered and systems implemented across the entire company, most of which I had to do in my own time as it was seen as a waste of time. I effectively automated processes that took hours to do manually and brought efficiency from 13% to 98%. And yet when the time came to give me the promotion they promised, they brought in someone new to the company and said that I had to train them. Pulled the plug on the operation and handed in my notice. The department folded less than 3 months after I left as no one knew what they were doing and had no backup or go-to help anymore. A little corporate espionage, but fuck 'em. You/Geodude responded. When I was around 8 to 10, I was riding my bike with friends. We stopped at an apartment building, 4 to 5 floors, to wait for one of our friends. My friends started talking about a girl, about how much they dislike her. I had no idea who they were talking about, but didn't want to be left out, so I joined, and started saying mean things, like how stinky she was, and how ugly, and I think I even called her a pig, or something like that. I was saying all that very loud, basically shouting, to make sure I'm louder than everyone else, so my friends would hear me and laugh, and they did. Well, it turned out we were waiting for my friend under that girl's window, like exactly under it. The window was on the 2nd floor, but it was hot outside so it was open. Needless to say, the girl heard everything. Her mom had to come down and send us away because she was crying so hard. I wish I could go back beat my stupid 8-year-old self. You/SnoopyScone responded. Back when I was 14 and in school, I was the altar boy. Teacher's favorite pupil. Everyone thought I could do nothing wrong. One day, while fooling around with friends, I drew an erotic art and left it under the desk. A teacher found it and escorted me to the principal. Out of fear of them calling my parents were strict AF back then, I lied to the principal that it was my friend to do it. Of course, they believed me since I could do nothing wrong. Poor chap's parents got called to the school and he received a severe scolding even when he was saying it wasn't him, but me. Despite the ordeal, we still remained very good friends till we went to college and we lost contact after that. Hey friend, I'm sorry for throwing you under the bus for a mistake I made. I hope you can forgive me. You/Tynerex responded. I used to work for a network of hospitals on the financial side. Due to some internal screw, a lot of calls ended up getting forwarded to me that shouldn't have. Things from patients calling to schedule appointments to important legal issues. For months I continually raised the issue of my personal cell phone getting forwarded a lot of important calls. The issue was never resolved. Anyways, a few months after the call forwarding thing started, the company decided to terminate my employment. We had a difference of opinion. I didn't like working 6 days a week and the company thought I should be working 7. However, the calls never stopped getting forwarded to my phone. Due to the unhappy breakup, I started just blocking all the calls getting forwarded to me and I never bothered to respond to a single voicemail or call I received. Additionally, I got some pretty important legal calls that if not responded to in a timely manner would cost the company significantly. I never forwarded on or explained anything to anyone and I deleted the voicemails and moved on. I know eventually stuff probably got figured out, but they had months to figure out their core issues and never did. Hopefully them facing legal blowback got them to fix things. U/CHTH responded. I made a post on 4chan's Be my first week of high school in 2009 claiming to be one of the kids who bullied me, saying I was going to go for the high score at his school name and to wish me luck. We went to separate high schools, but they were only a block away from each other, and I watched from up the block as his school was raided. Apparently he got dragged out of class by the joint task force, his locker searched, and when nothing was found his dad came to drag him away in tears. It obviously was a terrible thing to do and undoubtedly wasted public resources, but strangely I faced almost no consequences despite being caught the next day. 2 police showed up to my door and I admitted to using my neighbor's Wi-Fi to make the post. There was no further investigation and I never faced any charges as the police decided to let the school board punish me. I had a 2-week suspension where I had to attend an alternative school and had to attend 3 anger management sessions. U/CloudNinetielsFine responded. I put my dog down. He attacked our other dog, hurt him pretty bad. Couple of weeks went by and he did it again, this time with us there. The victim dog did nothing, and the aggressor dog was trying to kill him. We yelled, we hit him. I finally had to jump on him and choke him until he let go. My wife at the time was pregnant and I couldn't have this happen when I wasn't around. I was highly emotional as I put him in the truck and drove to a secluded place. When he was sniffing a tree, I put a bullet in him. Hardest thing LVE ever done. He was my best friend. This dog slept next to me every night, sat with me every day. It was years ago and I still have guilt. U/VikingRoad09 responded. Several years ago I had a coworker who was a gigantic asshole. Manic, aggressive, a nightmare to work with and even be around. I had anxiety coming into work and myself and others spoke to our boss numerous times regarding his behavior. Unfortunately, the guy happened to also be one of the smartest people LVE met and also the most productive person on the team, so my boss, who didn't really care about team culture or morale, was reluctant to let him go. I finally had enough, both of the job and this idiot, so I started needling him and intentionally provoking him. I began documenting his behavior and had a whole folder set up. I left this company a few years ago. When I left, I went to HR with everything I had. Turns out, this wasn't the first time someone had done what L did. Or even the second. My old boss and coworker got fired because there were at various points incidents that presented threats to physical safety, and HR had seen enough and wanted to save face. Learned that a lot of other shit went down with some other team members, and at one point he threatened a female coworker with sexual assault. The guy ended up killing himself shortly after. The company was sold off, gutted, and rebranded as a department of a larger corporation. I still to this day do not feel an ounce of remorse. Fuck that guy and corporate America. U/blobfish_blues responded. I worked for a charity with an asshole manager who was both too immature and too inexperienced to actually run things as they should be. When things didn't go his way, he'd get passive-aggressive, act like a child and blame everyone else for not reading his mind. There are many times I could have snapped, like him sending me a voice note complaining about things that aren't my job and got my husband so riled up he wanted to break the guy's legs, for example. But what really did it was when I stopped doing work that wasn't my responsibility or under the umbrella of my position, and he threw my ass under the bus because he got torn a new one by his boss because the work wasn't done. Not only did I write a very lengthy email detailing every infraction, blatant disregard for the rules and times he broke the law, I signed his ass up for not only Scientology but a JW group. With his personal email because his dumb ass left it signed into a work computer and the devil in me knew LD need it someday. U/Lambdab responded. Me and this girl spent a lot of time together while both of us were homeless. We were pretty destitute, but we were getting by. I'd stay at a friend's house, she'd do the same, and then during the day we'd hang out, apply for jobs, do our college homework. One day we stayed late on the beach and passed out at some point. When we awoke it was 1 a.m. and we were completely alone. We made our way up to the concessions area in the parking lot from the beach, and my friend on a chance slid the window open of the concessions building. We were hungry, so both of us climbed through the window to get some drinks and some ice cream. She opened the freezer and went DARB and pulled out a green deposit bag containing $200 in cash. Needless to say, we stole the money and lots of snacks. It's something I regret, but the money did get me a haircut, and I got a job not long afterwards. U/Zionan36 responded. I fucked a woman I wasn't even attracted to, who my best friend had strong romantic feelings for no other reason than I was drunk and depressed and thought, maybe a little sex will give me a morsel of a dopamine hit. It didn't. I woke up the next morning, in the same house as my friend was in. The three of us had been hanging out and drinking together late into the night, and I was so drunk that when I woke up in bed with this girl, I thought to myself, oh shit, I better get out of this bed or he's gonna hate me, but then I'm like, you know what, fuck it. I went back to sleep, and of course my friend woke up next and realized I was in bed with her. This is a friend who's been with me since I was 6 years old. It was the most pointlessly selfish thing LVE ever done in my life. It's the equivalent of stabbing someone to rob them of $2. I gained basically nothing from it. I still hate myself for it 11 years later. And fun fact, that happened a whole year before my rock bottom of depression and junkie behavior. You/Rbeast responded. When I was about 11 or 12, my parents let me have a slingshot. I'm pretty sure they gave it to me, but it's been 25 years, so maybe not. I used to live by the woods and we had all sorts of animals in the yard. One time I wanted to see what it would really do if it hit one. I took a rock, and I shot it from maybe 7 to 8 feet away, a bird sitting in its nest in a tree. I hit it square in the head. It fell out of the nest and hit the ground dead. Same as the story above, I felt immediate remorse. Beyond that, when I looked into the nest there were 3 eggs. Not knowing what to do, and in fear that my parents would punish me severely, I never told anyone. I went back to the nest each day to check the eggs. They never hatched. I thought the remorse I felt from killing the mother was bad. It wasn't until I was a little more removed from the event that I started to feel the real shame of not owning up to what I had done and maybe saved the babies somehow. I still think about it 25 or so years later. Now I value all life. I won't let my spouse kill spiders, and I always try and speak up for the defenseless. I also own my actions and try to always be accountable for their impacts. It was a tough life lesson, but I am proud of the person it made me into. You/wet_Sasquatch_smell responded. Thread is too old and no one will see this, but I knew a guy who's a photographer and is skeezy as hell. Champions himself as a voice for feminism and mental health and whatever. Anyway, he's also a huge creep and has harassed several women who modeled for him, even going as far as photoshopping their private boudoir shots to their business logos and ads and posting it on Twitter, among many other things. I called him out on it and he went after my place of work, which was a church at the time, and spun a story to make himself look the victim of harassment. Anyway, he did a lot of creepy shit and there wasn't much anyone could really do. So I took his pics from his socials and made him a few dating profiles. I catfished a bunch of the biggest grizzly bears I could find and then set up dates for them to pick him up at his workplace. I also said I got a new number and swapped mine for his. A few of the guys I talked to, I confessed the scheme and they were still on board for fucking with this guy. After that I walked away. Don't know the specifics, but I do know his Twitter panic and meltdown was fun to watch. You/Perok7158 responded. I worked as a temp for about 6 months in 2005. One of those temp assignments was at a ENT doctor's office handling the front desk. Well, the office manager who handled billing was also the person who gave access to the computer system. I forget what program they used, but it was some combination of scheduling and accounting billing system intended for small medical practices. Well, one day I'm working the front desk and this young mother comes into the office with her baby. Apparently the baby was deaf or hard of hearing in some way and this ENT was supposed to be treating her. I go to check the patient in, and the system flags her as being past due on billing. I told the mother and she stated to cry and just ended up having an emotional breakdown. She told me she didn't have any money and she'd just leave. I asked the office manager what to do and she got bitchy and said if she can't pay, tell her to leave and don't come back until she can. Well, that pissed me off. I felt like the mother's dignity didn't matter and the manager was indifferent to the kid's medical needs. So I told the mother to just take a seat in the waiting room while I double-checked things. What I really did was just go into the accounting side of the system and delete the past due balance. It was a little over $300, which I guess was felony territory, but I wasn't thinking about it in those terms. I just wanted the little guy to win one. Thanks for watching, everyone. Like and subscribe for more videos like this one. If you enjoyed this video and want to dive even deeper into our community, consider becoming a channel member. Members get exclusive perks like early access to videos, custom emojis, shoutouts, etc. And it's a great way to support the channel so I can keep bringing you the content you love.